What's that?
That's we didn't see it. Makes her life easier. I just didn't know if Kelly was coming.
Is the camera ready?
Yeah, thank you.
Great. Sean Wadsworth will call the Albany Planning Board February the 12th monthly meeting to order at 6:31. Present we have.
Brian Bailey.
Curtis Holman.
Morris West.
Thank you. Kelly Robotel excused at the moment. So let's see. December 11th meeting minutes.
I make a motion to approve. Second.
Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. The January meeting was canceled, so and I'm just gonna go let Sandra Vizard know that we're ready for her. She's for preliminary consultation.
Again, I'm fine when he sends his emails out on there.
Well, I guess it's a good thing I didn't wait till 7.
Yeah.
Hi, how are you?
Well,
Good.
Morris.
I'm Sandy.
So Sandy's here for preliminary consultation for 25 Town Hall Road.
Yes. So I filled this out and Amanda and Trenton, because they own the property, they gave permission for me to speak on their behalf.
Okay. Alright. So this is map 6, parcel 95, 20 acres plus a bit. Move your current salon on Route 16 to 25 Town Hall Road in the small cabin.
Yeah, and this is the cabin.
Okay. Wow. So the cabin is in Amanda and Trenton's.
Yeah, the whole property, well, it was in ours, but
Yeah.
they actually paid the mortgage off, and so they own it, but they're gonna be leaving.
They're gonna what?
They're gonna be leaving.
They're leaving?
Yeah.
Oh no. What happened?
Oh, they bought property in Sweden, Maine, so.
Oh, okay. Oh, they're
Yeah,
not.
so they're just gonna relocate,
Yes.
so,
Yes.
so I wanna sell the front piece and then move the salon. to
What about the farm in the back?
That'll be us, Steve and I.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, we'll take it back over.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right.
I think you guys need this still.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was hoping to get a home occupation permit.
So
Cause I do have a copy of it.
good.
Yeah.
Oh, of the home occupation.
Yeah,
Good. I was just trying to dig for mine. But if you have it, pull it up. Thank you. All right, from the Albany ordinances Page 15. Home occupation. Any use conducted entirely within a dwelling or an accessory building only by a member or members of the family domiciled therein, which is clearly incidental and secondary to the use of the dwelling as a residence and does not change the character thereof or reduce the value of any surrounding property. No home occupation shall be permitted that changes 1. Changes the outside appearance of any buildings. 2. Results in outside storage or display. 3. Generates traffic, parking, noise, odors, smoke, dust, lights, sewage, water use in excess of what is normal in the neighborhood. 4. Creates a hazard to a person or property. Results in electrical interference or creates a nuisance. 5. Any activity that exceeds these standards is subject to the special exception requirements applicable to home businesses. So, describe how your business would fit within home occupation.
Okay, so it would just be myself, okay?
Yeah.
So it's one chair. At most, there would be one car and then another one coming and the other one leaving.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not gonna change the outside.
Mm-hmm.
There's not gonna be any displays. So, and I know my neighbors are okay with it,
Yeah.
so it's really not gonna change anything except for I'm gonna have a single chair.
Mm-hmm. So when I read this, does anyone else want to read away? So this lot is not on Route 16, so
No, it's not.
it is, I'm presuming, in the residential commercial.
Yes, it is.
Residential, not
Yeah,
the residential.
years ago it was White Ledge Cabins. Bruce Timesman ran them all summer long.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we've had people living in them in the past. So,
Yeah. Oh, renting it out. living
Yes.
in them, Yeah.
Yep.
Just give people time to read the
Sure.
ordinance. What's that? Page 15? So those.
Yes, page
Yes.
15.
Alright, I'm also just going to read the intent, part A of that. Intent, a home occupation as defined below is permitted use in all residential zones. A home business may be allowed as a special exception by the Zoning Board of Adjustment in order to provide economic opportunity and diversity in the employment available to town residents, to support the variety of uses characteristic of small towns, and allow for reasonable growth. At the same time, the ordinance intends to ensure that the quiet, uncrowded, and scenic features of the town are preserved and that neighborhood character is maintained. curious to hear what others think. I'll share what I think first, I guess. If anyone, unless someone else wants to go ahead.
Yeah, quick read over, it seems like, it will change the character of the neighborhood slightly.
Yeah.
And sounds to me like, the zoning board of it, should, make an exception,
Mm-hmm.
I would assume, but I would leave it up to them.
Yeah.
Is my feeling.
Curtis, Brian?
Go ahead.
Again, I'm just reading the language. Again, we as the planning board we're serving the town, and we're serving the capacity of the planning board, and so we have to follow what the ordinance says. I read this part B, and it says any use conducted entirely within a dwelling or an accessory building only by a member or members of the family domiciled therein, which is clearly incidental and secondary to the use of the dwelling as a residence. So are you going to live in this building as your primary residence?
I live in the house right behind it, 500 feet up the driveway.
Yeah.
And I know years ago, when we lived on Route 16 near Sunnybrook Cottages,
Yeah.
my husband wanted to sell bait out of the garage.
Yeah.
So we didn't live in the garage, but we lived in the house next to the garage. And we were granted a home occupancy permit
Yeah.
to sell live bait out of because it didn't change anything.
On Route 16?
Right on Route 16.
On
yes.
Route 16.
Yep.
Yeah. In the commercial.
But
Yep. Oh, yeah.
I was going to say, but isn't it listed as commercial residential?
I need to look. My understanding is that only Route 16 is commercial residential, and that all other roads are residential. Need to verify that unless someone else has a clear and strong thought on that. I can look it up.
Even though there was an existing business way back when?
Yeah, so that's addressed somewhere in here. There's something about 2 years, basically. Oh yeah, the page before the page that you showed. Non-conforming uses permitted in this section, which has been discontinued for a period of 2 years from the effective date of this ordinance, shall not be resumed. So it also was a different non-conforming use than what you're asking for. I'm not even sure it would apply since it's different anyhow.
You don't consider this cabin to be an accessory dwelling?
That's a good question.
I mean,
Is this one property?
Yes.
Yeah, it's one piece of property. Actually, our whole property, we have 20 acres
Yeah,
on Town Hall Road.
yeah.
And then out front, we also have 2 more parcels. That's the hair salon and then the other piece.
All one property.
All on one property, yes.
So is your plan to subdivide the business part off?
We don't have to
Is that a different lot of record?
We get 3 different tax bills. So
Okay.
the salon sits on 1.4 acres. That one would go up for sale. Then it's 1.9 acres where the old historic granite dam is. And then it's 20 point whatever acres the house sits on with the cabins.
But all of that's on Town Hall Road.
Yes.
None of it's on 16 except for the existing hair salon, which is
Right.
planned.
Well, the hair salon is on both, I would consider.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so is the other lot, the 1.9 acres is
Right.
on both.
And actually, back in the day, before the state put that highway in, Town Hall Road was Route 16.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
So I mean, to me, I would consider this an accessory dwelling. And as far as the neighborhood, I mean, there's been a salon right there in that neighborhood for 20 years, right?
I was down the street for 14 and I've been here since 2006 on Route 16.
So for 18 years. So with that, is it gonna change the neighborhood a whole lot? I don't think so. In my opinion.
To read the part about the accessory dwelling.
Yeah, definition of accessory dwelling unit. An accessory dwelling unit, or ADU, is a residential living unit that is within or attached to a single family dwelling and that provides independent living facilities for one or more persons, including provisions for sleeping, eating, cooking, and sanitation on the same parcel of land as the principal dwelling unit it accompanies. So, according to this definition, it needs to be attached. That has been our ADU thing, as far as I've always known.
Okay, so Todd Provencher down the road, he has a home occupation, and his business is not attached to his house.
I don't know. So,
Rust bucket repair,
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Predates me.
and like I said, and then Howard Hatch, I think.
He's on Route 16.
Right, but.
That
so-
doesn't mean he went for site plan. I don't know. I don't know the particulars of that. Also, relevant and irrelevant at the same time. Relevant in that we're in the same town, but because something may or may not have happened with someone else's parcel, it doesn't mean that same thing should or shouldn't happen with another parcel. Again, we are bound as the planning board to go by the ordinances. My feeling is go to the zoning board.
Okay.
And do the zoning board of adjustment. I have a hard time imagining there being a problem, but that said, I have no control over the zoning board and no influence on it or anything. I'm the secretary for it, but it seems like to follow the proper procedure, that would be the proper procedure. That would be my summary. So if we're calling it an accessory dwelling unit, it's not attached, so it doesn't meet the definition of our ordinance's accessory dwelling unit. Some towns do allow for detached accessory dwelling unit. Our definition doesn't. And then really it's this preliminary paragraph for home occupation that describes the building being used clearly as a secondary to domicile, which is not the case in this case. It would purely being used for the business, right?
Right.
Yeah. My recommendation would be ZBA.
Is there a ZBA?
We do have a ZBA. Do we have it fully staffed? That's another question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause the last time I heard, there's no one on the ZBA.
Shall we be the chair?
Whatever, but I mean,
Yeah.
just as far as
Well, there was a meeting, 2 years ago that's, it successfully did its job. There hasn't been a ZBA request since then. Again, that would also be relevant but not applicable to what we decide here.
Well, and there's one other thing too, even before
Yeah.
I can move the salon in, the state of New Hampshire has to approve of it.
Yeah.
So I have to meet all of their criteria.
Yeah.
Which, I can tell you, it's a lot more than the town,
Oh, sure.
so.
Which again is why I would think the ZBA would probably say
But if there's not a ZBA board,
there's a ZBA board, it needs to be staffed.
right,
Yeah.
so how long will that take?
I can't answer that.
I would assume there's some RSA that deals with that. Just for hardship of a taxpayer.
Yes.
That if it is not
If the
staffed,
ZBA
someone else is
yes.
gonna have to make that decision. And then maybe it's the Board of Selectmen.
Yeah, I would assume that would be
Yeah.
just
because
assumption, but it'll probably go up to
There's
that.
there's no reason why Sandy should have to wait months on end
Agree.
Agree.
because the board isn't staffed. So
Agree.
for something that she's gonna get anyway, I would say.
Seems very likely.
Yeah, I mean, the home,
The thing is, it's just not our
the
place
home.
to start
I understand.
issuing
that.
these things just because we want to.
No, I understand. I understand what you're saying. It's just, I mean, a hair salon is probably one of the most common home businesses there is.
Well, it's funny, cause on my first salon at the old town hall,
Minimal impact. Yeah.
I opened that in 1992,
Awesome.
so,
What is your time frame that you're looking to do all this?
depends. Sooner the better.
How long would it take you to do meet all the state stuff, state requirements?
Well, considering how the kids had, gutted it out, there's all brand new electrical already in there. There's insulation going in. So, and it's just a matter of moving one of my stations over to there.
But theoretically, you're gonna sell the other place and
Yeah,
all
they're
that.
gonna put it up for sale.
Yeah.
So,
And you could theoretically be there until that sells and all that. Right?
well, I had them put a clause in that I have the right to be there.
Yeah.
Until,
Yeah.
but still, it's gonna take time, so,
I would assume that the town could get its act together.
We shall see. I hope so.
Yeah, and be able to get at least a 3-person
Yep.
board.
Yep.
Obviously, you can't be on the planning board and the zoning board because that wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. So I don't think they don't let you do that. So it's going to have to be somebody else within the town.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, we've struggled with that a little bit as a town. So
Yeah.
but that's why I was looking if there's any way we could move it forward within our rules.
Yep. Yep.
But our town regulations, I mean, the zoning board's supposed to meet once a month, right? I mean,
Zoning board?
Is that mean zoning board once a month or as needed? So it's as needed, so that would be,
And we haven't had a request for 2 years.
Yeah.
so that,
3 years or whatever.
the last thing was a sign ordinance issue.
The profile. Yeah.
Yeah, so,
And the previous zoning board meeting prior to that was 5 years before that. So
Yeah.
it's not
It's not-
atypical. This
right.
is-
I would assume, I mean, I just say this as
Mhm.
someone that knows you, I would think that by the time you do all your stuff on the other side of this, the town would be ready for you at the zoning side, and you probably could get in front of the zoning board
But-
relatively.
so I can just go ahead and start doing stuff without,
I'm not telling you that, but,
but,
because no one on this board can say the zoning board's definitely gonna
right,
approve that, but as just a resident of the town and been here a long time and seen a lot of zoning boards,
yeah,
this seems very straightforward. So, but that's, all I can say to that, because I'm not the one voting on it, so.
But
But-
no one here on the board can recommend that you go ahead with
Yeah.
the business plan without getting ZBA approval.
But
so how fast can that happen?
That's a good question.
Right,
It could be in a month. And there are some, let's see, well, if you want to sit and wait, I can start to look up what the the time constraints are. There are time constraints.
right,
So let's see, how does this go?
that's the problem.
you'll have to notify the abutters.
There's that.
Yeah.
There's somewhere there's a denial. Like you're asking for home occupation. I guess we formally deny here at
Right.
planning board, and then you take your formal denial to the zoning board. Yeah, and then they set up a hearing with abutters and have the hearing.
So what if I get letters from the abutters saying that they're okay with it?
That's great for you. It doesn't mean it's
No, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
instead of prolonging it that much further.
so the requirements on the zoning board end are just that the abutters are notified.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to agree or disagree. They just have to be notified. That's the legal requirement. Whether they show up and say something in favor or against
Okay.
is totally up to them. So if you bring letters, great. That's good for you. But it is not a requirement that they support it. That any abutter support it or oppose it. They just have to be notified.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I can consider 1 month? Or sooner?
I can't promise. So hopefully, yes. And I will look up. So I will look up what the there's some statutory time requirements, and I will look those up and get those to you, and also figure out if it looks like the zoning board isn't going to be able to meet those requirements, what then happens.
Okay.
So that just needs some time. That I don't have it right in front of me right here right now. We hope to get you forward in your business. Unfortunately, I don't think planning board can set a precedent of just saying, because we want you to have this business here, you know. I personally am all in support of it, but
Right.
I, as the chair of the planning board, absolutely cannot authorize it, reading what the ordinances say right here. That's my feeling, that's my take.
So you have my contact information?
Yes,
Okay.
so we will get working on it as quickly as we can.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah,
Great. I'm gonna take this one back.
all right.
No, you can have that
Keep
one.
that,
'cause you need
yeah.
it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, Sandy.
You're welcome.
It was informal, we didn't need that.
Pardon?
That was an informal, we don't need to vote or anything like that. It's-
Preliminary consultation, informal.
Yeah, so. The speed of bureaucracy,
It's a process.
that's what they call it.
Speaking of speed of bureaucracy, I'm ready to move to the end of the meeting unless someone else says something else.
Not I. I make a motion to end.
Adjourn. All right.
Second.
Adjourn.
That's it.
Zero seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Bye.
Thank you.
I have a question about this, what she's, where is her home where she's gonna live in relationship to the one chair salon that she wants to run?
Like 300 feet.
So,
400 feet.
and if that 300 feet, if they were connected, it'd be fine.
Mm-hmm.
So is there something, what constitutes a connection? Could she actually build a walkway and call it connected? Was my question.
I don't know that. I don't know.
Just another option.
It seems crazy to me that we can't just say, go for it. But, it's what gets these towns in trouble, because then,
Everybody.
well, then it's not just a salon. Then all of a sudden it's something that's much more impactful on the neighborhood. But
Yeah.
Or it's like what she pointed out, that hey, that person down there
Right.
got people to say okay. Maybe they shouldn't have said okay.
Or they probably just did it and didn't ask for permission.
Yeah, I have no idea.
That
It's before my time.
Right.
Yeah, but
yeah, it's like, so the problem here is our ordinance. Like,
is it?
well, I don't know. I mean, and then our zoning, right? Because most towns, it wouldn't just be right off of Route 16. It would be a certain feet, like the commercial zone. Like, it doesn't really make any sense.